Dear students, I am going to discuss with you regarding the protein requirement of the cultivable fin fishes and sea fishes. Here this is the part 2 of the lecture, and I will discuss regarding the protein requirement and what are the different factors which will affect on the protein requirement of the fishes. So dear friends, regarding the actual requirement of protein for different fishes, in general if you see the requirement of protein for marine shrimp, it is around 18 to 20%. In case of catfishes, it is 28 to 32%. In case of tilapia, it is 32 to 38%. And hybrid striped bass, 38 to 42%. In general, for the carnivorous fishes, the protein requirement is very high, and this is around 40 to 50%. While in case of omnivorous fishes, in case of herbivorous fishes, the protein requirement is around 25 to 35%. The protein requirement, if we see, the diet must contain the requirement of protein as per the species of the fish. If the protein requirement is not as per the need of the fishes, then it will adversely affect on the growth. Now you must know what are the various factors which affects on the protein requirement of the fishes. First is type of fish. As I have already told, the herbivorous fishes, friends, they are plant eaters. They consume phytoplanktons, and their protein requirement is lower comparatively. In comparison to omnivorous, and in case of herbivorous, omnivorous, both type of fishes, the protein requirement is much lower than the carnivorous fishes. Second important factor is level of management and intensification of fish rearing. Now it has been observed that in case of high density fish rearing, and the best example is recirculating aquaculture, the protein requirement is much more in fishes than the low density system that is in the pond system. Then next is size and age of the fish. That has direct effect on the requirement of protein, and the protein requirement is very high for the small fishes. And as the age increases, as they increase in their weight, the protein requirement gradually decreases. So as the age increases, the protein requirement decreases, and this is because of increase in their body weight. Next important factor is rearing environment. This rearing environment has direct impact on the growth of the fishes and hence on the protein requirement. Now the first important factor is here water temperature and quality. If the water temperature of the fish rearing is high, if the water quality is poor, it will increase their protein requirement. Secondly, here the genetic composition. If the fish have high genetic potential for the growth, then their growth rate will be much higher in comparison to the fishes having low genetic potential for the growth. So it is always more protein requirement in fishes with high genetic potential. Then feeding rates of the fishes. If the feeding rates of fishes is very high, then the diet will contain less amount of protein as compared to those whose feeding rate is very slow. Next is the fertility of the culture system. If the fertility of the culture system is very good, the protein requirement will be comparatively lower. Season, they have direct impact on the protein requirement. In case of warm period, when the temperature is very high, in tropical climates where the temperature is always high, it adversely affects on the growth, and hence their protein requirement is much less. Then geographic locations. Depending on the location, that is going to affect on the environment, the climate, and that will have effect on their protein requirement depending on the type of geographic locations. What has been realized that if the diet of the fishes contains adequate amount of fat, protein, vitamins, minerals, then their utilization will be good and the protein will be utilized for their growth. However, if the diet is not well balanced, then the protein, even in the excess quantity, will not be utilized and that will be diverted for the energy production. Now regarding the protein requirement, again depending on the type of fishes, in general common carp 25 to 35%, tilapia 28 to 30%, then grass carp, silver carp, rohu, katla around 30%, channel catfish 32 to 36%, and milkfish, mullet 35 to 40%. Similarly, in case of sea bass, 38.7%. In case of shrimp, depending on the age, depending on the size, the protein requirement is very high, 22 to 60%. In case of prawn, grouper, it is 40%. Mrigal, 40 to 45%. Rainbow trout, 40 to 45%. And Atlantic salmon, 45%. While in case of Murrel, it is 52%. Thus, each and every fishes, they have their different protein requirement. Protein as such has less meaning. The meaning has maximum the amino acid composition. If the amino acids are supplied as per the need of the fishes, then they will have their growth as per the genetic potential. In different fishes, the amino acid requirement is different. In case of fishes, in general, we have given the data, and in case of shrimp and prawn fishes, it is in general. Now you see here the data. In case of fishes, the maximum requirement of amino acid is phenylalanine. It is 5 to 6.5%. While arginine, lysine, leucine around 3.5%. Methionine, Threonine, Valine and Isoleucine around 2.4%. And Histidine 1.5 to 2.1%. And the minimum requirement of amino acid is of tryptophane. So maximum phenylalanine and minimum tryptophane in case of fishes. While in case of shrimp and prawn, it is a bit different. In shrimp and prawn, arginine requirement is 2.09 to 2.61%. This is maximum requirement. This is the requirement of amino acids per 100 gram of protein in the diet. Similarly, here also the minimum protein requirement, minimum amino acid requirement is of tryptophane, and this is 0.29 to 0.36%. So depending on the amino acid requirement of the fishes, the diet should be balanced to get the maximum growth rate. So students, I have discussed regarding the requirement of protein in different type of fishes and what are the factors which will affect on their protein requirement. and what are the different requirements of protein and amino acids in different fishes. Kindly, these data should be used for the actual formulation of protein diet in the fishes. If the fish diet will be well balanced with the amino acids and protein, you be sure that there will be excellent growth of the fishes. So thank you very much.